Well, welcome in, everybody. You have found your monthly setup. It is really, really good to see you. I'm so proud of you for giving up an evening in the spring to be intentional with your journal, but also just to show up for one another. It's really, really good to see you. My name is Jennifer Ogilvy. I am in the Dallas, Texas area. My little city is called Garland, and I get to be your on-screen facilitator tonight. And then my co-facilitator who's hanging out in the chat. You can see Maya's reacting, and she we just found out yesterday that we could do reactions to everybody. Maya Martin Glenn is my co-facilitator. So the two of us are with you tonight as we get ready to set up our new June journals. We are so excited. The monthly setup is where we do our reflections from this past month, and then we sort of claim that mindset for what we want the new month to bring. Okay, so make sure your chat is set to everyone because we do a lot of chatting, a lot of support. And that's just, that's how we're going to communicate. Now, I got to ask, is there a flowy June? Yes, Sandy, I hear you. Y'all have been putting in the work this year. These themes that we've had have been themes. We have done some deep work. So I think this month of flow, and I don't want to give anything away about July, but it's also a little more of a summertime vibe. I think we're going to be able to like sit back and just enjoy the person that we are. And so flow is going to be, yeah, let's flow through some easy stuff. Yeah, it's good news. We're tired. We've been working. So we're gonna take all that work now and find our flow in this new month. So I gotta ask, is there anybody here for the very first time? We would love to welcome you, give you a big Silk and Sonder family welcome. You can see this community just loving to see each other and welcoming one another as names are scrolling through. So, if there's anybody here for the first time, you have found a great community, just drop a me in the chat so we can give you a big welcome. But I just, again, want to welcome all of you and show some appreciation that you held this appointment with yourself, but also for one another. And if you come, Donna, we're glad to see you. Welcome. If you come to these enough, you will start getting to know one another. And so there's just this, while it's a virtual community, it is a great community that we all have the privilege of being a part of. So yeah, new month. We've got who's celebrating their birthday. Let us know. We've got some Geminis in the house, and we've got, let's see, I guess Cancer will close out the month. Um, Maya is having her birthday this month. Not a wedding anniversary, married, yeah, all the special things. Throw those out there. Let's celebrate. Let's start off with a little celebration for one another. So yeah, we love month, but you were a June bride. I love that, Meredith. I got married in hot August, and everybody just sweated for 4 hours. Anyway, all righty. So I want to call out that we want you to share in the app at any time, share part of your setup, share if you're not sure what to do in it with a certain thing, like I'm looking at this, I don't know how to always remember that app. And then, of course, Instagram and TikTok, maybe your pages will be featured in some way. I want to shout out, ooh, we're almost to our mid-year reset, and this is a free event that you will want to be a part of. Maya is going to be the stage manager for that event, and it will be led by our Silk and Sonder founder, Meha. And I know we are all such fans. We love to fangirl when Meha just brings her energy and love and passion for Silk and Sonder. So that you're going to want to just give yourself a gift of making time for that mid-year reset. And if you can't make it, it's okay. It's going to be recorded, and you'll be able to catch it via recording. But we also know how much we love, love, love the chats when we when we gather together, and the chats are not part of that recording. But June 16th, so mark your calendar. Maya posted the link in the chat. You can go there and make sure that you are registered for that. You're not going to want to miss it. And then finally, there are our community guidelines. So if you are new, you will see this anytime you gather at a social. It's just sort of those general community guidelines to make sure that we're creating these safe spaces, keeping a positive vibe. We always say, come as you are. If you want to just sit, visit in the chat and work on your journal later, but get some ideas and let that brain start flowing. It's really about taking what you need. Anytime you need help with your journal subscription, or if you have a suggestion or concern or whatever, you can reach out to customer care. Their customer care team is amazing. That's going to be hello@silkandsonder.com. And Maya and I don't work directly for headquarters, so we don't have access to things like where is my journal, or I can't remember when my subscription renews. We don't know that. So you can do hello@silkandsonder.com and get that information there. All righty. All right, we've got this new month. I thought it would be fun to kind of start talking about this month of June. It's World Milk Day for for those of you who celebrate, but it is the most popular wedding month. We have Flag Day on June 14th. Um, we've got National Yo-Yo Day. Our astrology signs are Gemini and Cancer. It's National Donut Day, Father's Day. The flower of the month is a rose. We say goodbye to spring this month. It just seems like 3 weeks ago we were waiting for winter to be over, and now we're already saying goodbye to spring. And then I love our mindfullife.com. They've got a Instagram account. We always encourage you to really curate the social media that you are ingesting. And our Mindful Life is a beautiful site to, follow in your Instagram feeds, or you can just go to their website, our mindfullife.com. But I love this, How to Love Yourself, the June edition. And oh, this is talk about some flow. Stop being responsible for everyone. Invest in your own growth. Ask for help when you need it. Get that support. Give yourself enough time to recharge. This is that time of year to kind of have a different vibe with the summer coming. Be active in your preferable way. What's right for you? Pause and evaluate what's not working. So I thought that was kind of fun. And we're going to start by looking at our letter from Meha on page 2. We do always encourage you to take a look at this, and you may end up eventually turning this into a blackout poem. If you were with Maya last night, we worked together, but she was leading our last journal prompt of our month of integrity. And one of the activities we did was a blackout poem, and we used either the poem or the letter from Meha. So you may end up turning this poem into a blackout poem or a highlight poem as we go through the month. You'll want to check that out on our YouTube channel to see what happened in that social. But I pulled out this paragraph about that Meha said, I used to think flow was a reward. Think about when you find your flow, that's when you've lost track of time. You're just in it. You're feeling so good. You're feeling challenged. You're feeling vital. And we might tend to save those moments to reward ourselves. But she says, I used to think it was something you had to earn after grinding through structure and discipline. But now I know flow is a compass. It tells you where the aliveness is, where the ease lives, and where your soul is trying to lead you. So I think we're going to have so much fun finding what is our own personal flow. Where are we at optimal selfness. That's going to be pretty good. So there is a Hungarian psychologist, Maya, and I have laughed because we don't know how to pronounce that last name. And I was laughing in the early 1990s. I said back in the 1900s, and this psychologist is the one who sort of coined the phrase flow for the theory of it, when a person and they look at, your natural skills, and then when that aligns with the challenges you face. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like the thorn kind of challenges. It's when you feel challenged. Think about that good feeling you get when you have accomplished something, whether it's in your hobbies or your job, or how you're parenting, or how you show up as a partner. Yeah, it's when you're in your sweet spot. And so anyway, that's what we're seeking this month. And I saw that quote really jumped out at me because I used to have a hard time with like just going with the flow, and feeling a little guilty and selfish if I found myself in that space of finding my sweet spot, and ever the world went away, right? I ignored everybody else and just found that spot for me, and I used to struggle with that. So anyway, okay, enough chatting from Jennifer. So, our theme this month, here's what this same psychologist says: the happiest people spend much time in a state of flow. So, think about your happiness, take a little happiness pulse. It says the state in which people are so involved in activity that nothing else seems to matter. The experience itself is so enjoyable that people will do it even at great cost for the sheer sake of doing it. And then there's this little graphic over there that that shows, it's kind of when you're challenged and you use your skills and they align perfectly. That's that line kind of in the middle. If it's too challenging, it causes anxiety. And if you're not having to use your skills and engage in a way that you adore, you start getting bored. And so, anyway, I'm very excited. Can y'all tell I'm excited about flow? We're going to start our night tonight with our monthly acrostic poem. Last month it was printed in our journal, but this month we'll invite you to find a space in your journal to work on that. We're going to do our May reflections together. Set those intentions, and then do the mood and habit trackers together. So, if you've been here before, this is a standard kind of the prompt that we like to open our first socials with as we set up for the month. We do this acrostic poem. It kind of helps our brain start thinking about, what does this theme mean to me as I start digging in? And so we're going to get you to think about maybe 4 words for flow, and then create an acrostic poem for that. Now, this one may not take as long since we've only got 4 letters. You can do sentences, 1 word, set of words. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Your page might look something like that, where you have flow written out. But remember, you don't have to start the sentence with that letter. It can be embedded somewhere. I'm thinking my poem will probably contain Jennifer and a little note to myself, and I'll use that F for my name. We've got a couple of examples to start getting you inspired, as well as if you find that flow is just a little short and you want something so you can do a little bit meatier poem, grab one of those synonyms over there. Go dig into continuity. And what does that mean to you? But we've got freely moving with the tide, letting all your cares subside, open to the present space, walking with a gentle grace. And look at that graphic. Isn't it amazing? There's another one here: finding new harmony where love resides, leaving behind what no longer serves, overcoming fears, embracing new curves, welcoming the journey. The flow is alive. So, you're going to be able to come up with something. Now, we also suggest if an acrostic's not for you or you're not feeling that right now, maybe you'll write a haiku. You'll push yourself into a different type of poetry this month. You could also spend a little time during our opening activity reflecting on May and writing a note to it like it was a friend. Sometimes we say it may be a breakup note to the past month. We're done. We're over. I don't ever want to see you again. And you can write a note also welcoming your new friend June and what you hope for the month. Maybe you go work on your definition of flow, which you can find in the space on page 3. I wrote there, that's my example, getting lost, doing something I love, losing track of time when I'm with people I love, and living the quote that not all who wander are lost is what I came up with for mine. So again, no right or wrong way to open up and accept this new month. Another suggestion, if you don't use this calendar in the front of your journal, maybe you'll go log on to a calendar that you could take some information from and create a new calendar for the month of things where you might find some flow yourself. So Maya just dropped a link for ordinaryandhappy.com, and that's actually where I got this calendar, but there's several different calendars for June with different themes. This one happens to be 15 minutes self-care, but there are several there. Again, another great site to follow as you curate your social media. But you might want to just spend a little time with this calendar and create somewhat of a bingo board challenge with some fun things from some already made June calendars as inspiration. So, lots of ways to start thinking about how we're going to tap into our flow this month. I'm going to put on a little bit of music and I'll go back and forth through these slides as you're working on it. You might, I was going to say, you might, the acrostic can be done anywhere in your journal, but when I do my acrostic, I go to the index page and I do it right here where the notes are. So if you don't use this spot for like reminders or something, maybe you put your flow acrostic in that spot. So, oh, and Michelle says she likes to go to that space too. Yeah, Zoom user, ordinaryandhappy.com. And Maya actually scroll there. Yeah, Maya's dropped that link, and that link will take you to a lot of activities for the month of June. So if you wanted to embrace that to open up our time together, and then we'll get going with the rest of our monthly setup. Okay, this is already getting fun because, oh my goodness, there was just the language that comes about when we start thinking of flow. Watering my soul. Wow, that's beautiful. We had lots of really just happy things. Focusing, losing oneself willingly in work and play. It's just beautiful to start thinking about finding and love, open to whatever, wonder. So many falling in love with ordinary whimsy. I said some of these poems can also serve as your definition for your definition page. You're clearly not a poet, Meredith. This is not a language arts class, so that's okay. It's perfect. Yeah, except in Cali during drought summer. For sure, Reverend Joy Ellen. Yeah, but I'm glad that you guys kind of got started now. Your brains are thinking about this brand new theme. And I did say in the chat, maybe take a few moments before we say goodbye to the month of integrity and go back and look at what you wrote in that acrostic poem. And after you did the work for the month, do you still feel the same you felt at the front end of last month? Kind of do that little check in with self and see where you saw growth by way of looking at that poem. So now we're going to get going with our setup. And we are going to take a look at what this month of May brought us. This is going to be on page 8. It's your monthly reflections for May. We look at the wins, the things that went great, things that we're celebrating, the challenges, our favorite moments. And then we're going to kind of think about, once we reflect on all of that, what is it that we want to start and stop and continue as we approach a new month. So your wins, of course, those are going to be like your roses for the month. What are you feeling good about? What are you celebrating? What did you accomplish, or the things that made you feel happy? Of course, we all have challenges throughout the month, so you survived them. Let's put them on paper. Maybe we can leave them behind. What's we've written them and said goodbye to them. Or maybe we look for the lessons that we learned through those challenges, how we held up with our integrity. And then finally, those favorite moments. What was just so much fun about the month of May? What were some of the little glimmers? They could have been very small things that you noticed or truly big, exciting things. I know many of you shared there were lots of like graduations that happened this past month. And the pride that you have for people that you love, for those kinds of things. Then we are going to, oh, and I want to tell you, look at your phone, look at what you took pictures of, what was how did you spend your time? How did you spend your money? I always say I look at my credit card statement. That reminds me of some of the challenges maybe. You can look at your rosebud thorn reflections from the week to week to week that we did throughout this month. And that can also help jog your memory and help you remember what we did that. Now we are going to just work on the reflections right now. I'm going to save the start, stop, and continue space for after our reflections. So we'll start with this. We would love to know what were your favorite moments. And then if you feel like you need a little support or you just want to throw it out in the universe, share those wins. Let's celebrate one another. There's nothing better in this world than women lifting one another up. And so let's celebrate those May wins and let's hold each other up through the challenges that were brought our way. So feel free to share as you are comfortable. I'll put on a little bit of music. We'll work on this upper section and then we'll drop down to the bottom space to kind of look at what we want to start, stop, and continue. Continue to keep working on your reflections from the month. We when we sit down and look at it, we like, oh yeah, that happened and that happened. May's a long month, so keep on working. And I am going, Chris, I'm gonna call you out because you said my wins are small, but still wins, and I want you to change the word "but" and put the word "and" in there. I don't want you to negate those wins. We're proud of everything that you did, and we're proud of ourselves because every win is a win. So I'm not going to let you get away with negating it. I love you too much. But when we start looking back, we realize that, we survived a lot of stuff this month. So y'all keep working as you're going through that. And Bridget, sometimes it is hard to find a bud, especially if you're going through a rough season, and that's okay. And maybe your bud can just be something as simple as tomorrow's a new day, just giving yourself that reminder or putting an affirmation down as your bud to remind you of who you are striving to be. So, but I completely understand that. We all have those dadgum seasons that it's just hard to shake it. Now, while you're still working on that, I do want to drop down and talk about the start, stop, and continue space. I love this space because I feel like it's the foundation for our month. If a building is being built, it's got to have a good, strong foundation or everything crumbles. And so I feel like when we are very intentional with this space, it can be our compass to set the intentions we want, and then take that further into our goals and how we spend our time. What are our habits? What will our activities be? So I really think this is like the start of really good stuff for our lives. So when we look at start, stop, and continue, what are some things when we're thinking start? What do you want to start? Or maybe you need to use the word restart. Maybe you let something go that was once a very vital part of your life, and it's time to restart it. Things, that are just going to help you try something new. Let's just see what happens. I'm going to attempt to do this. Of course, there's a lot that's probably not working in your life or that you need to stop doing. It could be some self-talk, things that don't help you out, things that don't serve you. Those are the things that we're going to stop. And what do we want to continue doing? What are we doing that makes us so proud of ourselves? And we're going to carry that forward. So there's a great example of somebody's, they want to start meal prepping more, stop putting off what can be done today, and purging and packing. Continue doing that. So I've got some tips over there. You might want to even hone in on something that's very specific that you might be working on. Something that you're really trying to, plug along. Melody said she was, she's claiming when she was looking at the month, plugging along at diet and exercises for a win. So perhaps you could take, if you're in a space like Melody where that was sort of the focus and your win, okay, let's do this whole start, stop, and continue around my nutrition and my movement. And so what do you want to start? Nutrition and movement wise. What do you want to stop? Nutrition and movement wise. And what do you want to continue? So you could hone in on like one focus area. So I said you could do a relationship, again, health and wellness, or maybe there's something like decluttering, finances, education. Maybe you're through looking at these last few themes, you realize you're misaligned with your core values. So maybe you take one of your core values and you sort of throw your integrity behind that one thing. And that's going to be, I'm going to start doing some things because this is a core value of mine. I'm going to stop and I'll continue XYZ. So that's just a suggestion. Also, I love that some of you like to frame this out with asking yourself the question, what is it? And why? Why is this important to me? What is my why? I'm not doing it just because it sounds good. Like, what is my why? So digging in a little bit deeper. So there's two examples of that. And the bottom one actually says, okay, what it is, why is this important? And then how? How am I going to make this happen? So you can see they're already starting to put things in motion to carry forth now through their intentions, through their goals, that kind of thing. And then this is a little bit of a repurpose. This is from our Silk and Sonder Instagram. It's an oldie, but it's when we check in with self and we think, okay, I feel this way. And so maybe that becomes your first box. You repurpose this into I feel this way, especially if you're in a tougher season right now. Because of, and you name it and claim it. And then you finish that third box out with I want to feel whatever, or I need to feel whatever, or I need to do this action to either support how I feel or how I don't want to feel. So that could be a repurpose of this space that could also serve as a great compass point, a great foundation for the month. And then the one below that is, it's just going to be one thing to start, and that was using my daily pages. And then how am I going to make that happen? And why am I making that happen? And so keeping it very simple, focusing on one thing. So continue to work on your reflections from the month, but also consider how you want to frame out this bottom space, and then we'll get going with setting our intentions. All right. I know summer and not having the school year to do your rhythms and routine can be difficult. I know a couple of you have shared that, not having that rhythm and routine. I wish I could tell you it gets better when you retire, but it doesn't. I miss those school bells so much because my day was structured and I y'all know I still have trouble with rhythms and routines because I don't have those time schedules telling me it's time to do this. My brain got used to just letting somebody else figure that part out. Yeah, yeah, exactly. The When you have those rhythms and routines, Meredith, you just know it's built in and you know what you're supposed to be doing. And anyway, so I'm glad that now that we've thought about kind of what we want to bring forward into the month, what we need to stop doing, and what we want to start doing. Yeah, it's so hard, Joy Ellen, to get that rhythm and routine when you retire. And well, I could go on and on about like I've got to have the rhythm routine, and my husband loves not having one. So different strokes for different folks. So we are going to now just kind of turn your page over right there to the right side. We're looking at the June intentions for this. And I just realized that we've got May intentions written there, but it's really June intentions. But you can go look at Maya, it's okay. We break up with perfect. Go look at your May intentions and, and see let's do a review of May intentions and see how we did and what we want to bring forward as we look at June's intentions. Um, as you see here on page 9. So yeah, that's what we're going to reflect over May. And then we'll jump into June. June brings us a lot of good stuff. National Safety Month, migraine and Headache Awareness Month. I know many of y'all suffer from those migraines that just put you down. So give yourself a little extra love there. It's National Candy Month. Of course, it's Pride Month. And goodness, look at all the awareness month, Alzheimer's, audiobook appreciation month. Yay. If you don't do audiobooks, maybe look at doing that this month. Maybe that goes somewhere in like a personal life goal, and you can get them via your library, and we want you to use your library. And they count as reading. Yes, they do. I always have an audiobook going with a regular book. Cancer Survivors Month. Hats off to those of you who are reflecting over that and maybe your personal journey or someone that, yes, Meredith, your sweet girl that you love. So let's celebrate. Let's be intentional with those things. Let's find our flow and be so happy for that. Great Outdoors Month and then National Zoo and Aquarium Month. So maybe one of those words will speak to one of these spaces for you or all of them, and we'll figure out how to. Yeah, shout out if you are a cancer survivor. Let us give you some high fives. Like Michelle just said, she is 6.5 years cancer free. I'm so proud of you. That's a journey. So these intentions are sort of this overriding idea of what we want to embrace for our month. There's lots of ways to do this. Some folks just write one word down or a quote. Others will, get into it with stickers, or maybe they'll use a song lyric or a song title or a book title to frame it out, to be creative with these. Oh, look at y'all, Julie, Leanne. Oh, whoops. I scrolled through the wrong thing. We've got lots of survivors here. I'm so proud of y'all. Yes, lots of love for sure, Kimberly L. Yay, yay, y'all. Let's look at how folks have set these up. Now, some reminders. You don't have to fill out your whole page. Maybe you pick your top 3 or 4, especially if this is maybe your first, second, third time of choosing your intentions. It might be easier just to do, your top 3 areas. So don't feel obligated to those 6 spaces. Some folks will do 4 spaces. They'll rename those 4 for however, and then they use the bottom 2 as like a mid-month check-in, or they'll just do little journaling reflection there. But you can change any of these categories. So if something doesn't jive with your month and what's going on this month, your professional goals, like especially if you're maybe an educator and you're off for summer and you want to really focus on your home life since you are kind of on this little extended leave for a couple of months. This could also, maybe there's a seasonal holiday space because of all the fun stuff that happens. Maybe you're going to be traveling and you want to set intentions for your vacation. Or I always do a learning space. I generally turn my professional goals into learning goals. So there's some category titles to inspire you. And then I love sharing what y'all have done. So we always love the idea of duality, where maybe we invite something into our life and let something go, or we have more of something and less of something, where we embrace or we release or we do and we avoid. So, the one coin, two sides sort of duality. You could use just a single word to frame out the space. And I love the colors on that little example up there on the right. Here are some other things. Look at this little kitty cat one where it's just some pictures to sort of inspire how we want to frame that out there. Very simple intentions here on the left. They've left all the categories, both of these left the categories as they are. But let's look at what some repurposing can look like. So instead of spiritual health, it's speaking to this person on the left to write mental health. And then instead of money management, home management. If you're working on decluttering or organizing, perhaps that speaks to you. Personal, instead of personal life, they did personal fun, but wouldn't it be fun to do like personal flow? And you set an intention for finding flow. And then we've got the one over there on the right. Look, five intentions there. I think they did like a spirograph on on the page, which I love. And but look at the bottom on the right hand example, the bottom left box. Review. So they're just checking in. And yeah, that's a great. Carla is saying, any suggestions on how to tie these intentions into the weekly work that we do, because sometimes it's hard to go back and remember to look at this. So I'm glad you put that question out there, because many of us, Carla, many of us forget to go back. I used to set my intentions up and never look at them again. It's like, wait a minute, this should sort of be guiding the month. So I'm glad you called that out. If y'all have some tips, drop that in the chat. I have a really good example of one way that you might want to think about holding yourself accountable to intentions. So here's a couple more examples of how folks have set this up. You can see some stickers, some beautiful words are there. Both of these are using these categories just as they are. And then here is a really good example, Carla. So there are those words for those intention spaces. I want harmony in my spiritual health. This person made their mood tracker into their intentions tracker. And so they are tying those intentions, that intention of having harmony and of being fulfilled and of finding balance, tying it in with this tracker. And it's helping remind them to go back and take a look at those intentions. And if you're looking at them, then they're going to be front of mind. You could also sort of do a mini tracker within your weekly setup to go back and make sure that, you're holding yourself accountable to those intentions you set. The examples of the intentions there on the left, notice that they have one word for each one of these areas. So for spiritual health, it's peace. For personal life, it's alignment. But instead of writing that word across the whole space, they put it at the bottom, and then they've got some sort of actionable items, and they've made these sort of to-do lists. And so you could do something like that and then get inspiration from a setup like this with all those different things to do, and those things can now show up in your weekly setup. So, for example, under spiritual health, sew one thing, crochet, maybe those things can now show up in your habit tracker, habit and activity tracker in your weekly setup. Or maybe you repurpose the shopping list into your intention tracker and you pull some of those things that you've written here, like this person did, and some of that will inspire those pages. So hopefully that's a helpful idea. So let's work on those intentions. I'll scroll back through these slides so you can grab a screenshot if you saw something that speaks to you, and then we'll move on to our two trackers. All righty. So you may still be working on these, but I want to make sure that we have plenty of time to go through all of these slides. And it was suggested that, yeah, I should mention that there's that how-to section in our app that the Sonder Club app that could also maybe offer you some inspiration if you're looking for ways to set your journal up and hold yourself accountable from taking some sections and then seeing them show up in other ways throughout the month in your journal. So yeah, be sure that you're checking Sonder Club for that because some of the slight things that we get in our chat, that's in our chat and we don't see it elsewhere. So now we're going to take a look at our mood tracker. So if you'll just flip that page over, we're going to be looking at two trackers. The one on the left is the mood. It's on page 10 and our habit tracker, which is on page 11. All righty. And there's that mood tracker. It comes in two flavors. It comes in hexagon, which is what we have this month, as well as a circle. It kind of depends on the number of days. Our months that have 31 days will always have that circle tracker. So just like to throw that in there so that it doesn't surprise you if your first tracker is the hexagon and then you're like, oh, what happened to the tracker? So we love the mood tracker. This is a great way for you to identify patterns in your mood. For example, like this graphic says, you might notice that you feel anxious before the work week starts. So if you have, perhaps you sit with this mood tracker and you go through, and we know that next Saturday and Sunday are weekends. You can maybe draw a line or draw around the 6th and the 7th, and then do it for the 13th and the 14th to delineate the weekends from the weekdays. You could also do this if maybe you are a shift worker and maybe you draw around the days that you actually work. And then you leave blank for the ones that you're not at work, and it'll just help you sort of delineate what's happening on what days. But we want to look for those patterns in our mood, because then when we notice the patterns, we can make changes. We can put things in place to help us cope. So when we see those patterns, we develop those coping skills, because we can go like, okay, when I look at this, I notice every time, I go to work, my mood changes, and or maybe it's, I'm so happy at work, and when I go home and look at my clutter, I get sad. So it kind of can help you determine those moods. And then you can also figure out what it is to change those moods that are not as desirable. So we suggest starting out with the six basics that you see on the outside and the inside of our feelings or our mood tracker or our feelings wheel. So love, joy, fear, anger, sadness, surprise. And those six basic, great place to start if you're not used to doing a mood tracker. But as you use a mood tracker, you can get more detailed as you go out to the outer part of this feelings wheel, and you'll see there's a lot of other words that might better fit the word you're looking for. So we suggest doing a couple, three negative, maybe a neutral feeling, couple or three positive words. You might really want to focus on flow and finding your flow and noticing how your moods connect to flow this month. And there's many ways to fill this out. You can do morning, afternoon, evening check-ins with self. You can do an overall feeling, today at the end of the day, I'm checking in and it was a pretty good day. And so I'm going to rate this whole day this way. Or you can do, as many feelings as you want to track. I use mine as a book tracker. I repurpose mine. So let's take a look. Here's some trackers set up for moods. And they're a little bit different. I love this one at the bottom. I've had this graphic on my slide deck before where it says just acknowledge your mood tracker. It's just like I'm doing this check-in with myself. And so maybe every day at noon, you just like take a moment and check in with yourself. And that's all it is. It's just a check in. Or you can set your mood tracker up like these examples here that you see. for checking in with your mood. And I wanted to point out the one on the upper right. You can see like there's no spoons. And if you have trouble with energy because of health issues, maybe look into the spoon theory. And that might be able to help you kind of track how your energy is affecting your mood, the spoon theory. It's kind of the idea you get X number of spoons at the beginning of the day, and different activities will cost you a certain number of spoons until you're out. And some days are great, and it might take one spoon to do your morning routine, and other days it could cost you four spoons. And so now you have less left, and you know you have to protect yourself. So, anyway, and yeah, as Reverend Joy Ellen says, those of you who are chronic will get down to no cutlery at all. All righty, so there's that tracker again, and then let's look at some ways to repurpose this. If you're not, the drawer is empty, it's all in the dishwasher, right? Here are some ways to repurpose. So I've got, again, that intentions tracker down there, a repurpose of checking back in with your intentions. And then here's some different ways that people have used this tracker workout. Rate the day, one phrase a day, a word. Maybe you put your Wordle solutions in here. Maybe it's where you go for your self-care or your time to be creative, which could really pair nicely with flow. Maybe you embrace the 7 types of rest. For that, you can see this person is trying to hold themselves accountable. They took 6 of these 7 types of rest. They've divided their little hexie up into spaces, and they're going to color when they have met that particular rest need. Kind of color code that. And a workout tracker, we're looking when we're stressed, if we shut down, mindful pause, that one that's kind of on the lower left there, a spending tracker, business habits. The month of flourishing, there is a mood tracker, flourishing mood tracker, and they did organize, plan, they read, they journaled, they prayed, they did nothing, and which I love. Nothing is a good thing to do. So maybe you repurpose into like a flow tracker with that same kind of thing. Like, where do you find your flow? Anxiety tracker, a spending tracker. I love this symptom tracker. I told Maya it looks like a bunch of little, the pox is it, but maybe it's a petri dish there with that. So lots of ways to repurpose this tracker if you choose not to do your mood tracker. But the mood tracker is a very good place to start if you're not feeling your best self. So I'm going to put on a little quick music, go through these slides super fast, and then we'll finish up with that habit tracker. y'all. Here we are, beating the clock again. Jennifer Ogilvy talks too much. So let's flip now and look at that habit tracker. This is a good place to go look at your start, stop, and continue box and get inspired by that section that you did for maybe some habits that need to show up in your life. And I've got, we might want to really focus on our flow. You can maybe pick a theme for this whole tracker. Maybe it's all about your nutrition or all about being grounded, whatever you need. We suggest not starting a whole slew of brand new habits. Put some gimmies on there, the things that you're going to do. Another suggestion is to maybe delineate the weekend from the weekdays. Maybe you just take the weekends off from some of these things. That can, and you can see how people have done. They've written on the outside of the wheel some notes or like the days of the week so that you can align with that. And then this person actually wrote their why for each one of these habits all throughout the habit tracker, and then they'll color it in as it happens. A reminder, you don't have to do all of the blank spaces there. You can only, you may choose to just focus on 4 habits for this month, like the examples that you see over there on the right. And the person at the bottom decided to color in those wedges by weeks to help them know, what those days were. Like this is week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. And then we've got, look, on vacation, 18 days. And so they've written that on the outside of this tracker. It can give you a lot of data. It's okay if spaces don't get filled in. Those empty spaces tell what your month brought your way. Kimberly said she just tracked Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays this past month. Would love to see that in Sonder Club, Kimberly. And then there's a complete tracker, and you can see the days that they didn't do the thing. They just did cross hatches there, did little lines through there. So they acknowledged it, and then they moved on. No judgment, no judgment. And a couple more examples. Remember that this is being recorded, so you'll be able to watch a replay of this social, and you can take another look at those slides if you need to. Drop in the chat maybe what you're considering putting in that tracker for this month. What are your biggies for the month? And you highlighted the weekends and vacations. Good for you, Anne. Because it's okay to like go, oh, well, I didn't do those habits because I wasn't at home. I was on vacation, or I gave myself the weekends off. So, this is a great tool just to help you kind of fine tune who you want to be. I'm going to be very centric focused on health for this tracker this month. So it will be for me my nutrition and my movement. And so I'm going to get very specific with that. I've got a month before I go back to a doctor and I want to see some progress. So I'm going to hold myself accountable with by using this tracker. So I know that we are at time. We want to encourage you to share your planner in Sonder Club. That's where we get these great ideas to then show you once again at setups. And Rebecca is saying she's going to read for 10 minutes, meditate for 10 minutes, and then 10,000 steps every day. I love that, Rebecca. And when you put it with a time, like read for 10 minutes. You may end up reading for 30, but you met your goal or your habit of 10 minutes. And so that's a very nice tied into that time frame. Again, we want to talk to you about that Sonder Coach if you're not aware of that and you want to take it for a test drive. Meha would love to encourage you to do that. You can use the link that Maya will share. And then Meha is saying, please send me your thoughts. And she's asking, like, how did it feel? Did anything surprise you? Did anything feel confusing? They want to just keep adding iterations to make this an easy, user-friendly app. And anything that you think would make it better, email Meha Agrawal at silkandsonder.com. Don't want to forget to sign up for that mid-year reset. We'll see you there, and we will just close out our time together. And I'll see you again tomorrow. We'll be doing the monthlies or week. I don't know. I'm doing a setup tomorrow evening. So yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. I think, is it a weekly? I don't know. Maya and I are hanging out a lot together this weekend. Okay, I'm doing a monthly. I'm doing this one tomorrow, and I'll better pace my talking so we have a little more time with our habit tracker. If you want to join us just to kind of hang out with your Sonder family. Thanks, Sonder family. We will see you soon. Let's go find our flow. I send you a lot of love and light.
First, when there's nothing but a slow glowing dream that your fear seems to hide deep inside your mind. All alone I have cried silent tears full of pride in a world